like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pound, pound, pound. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Show you want to enter, you can turn back. You don't know where I...
All right. We have some trades as expected. We didn't know who was going to be traded. I didn't think it would be Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards, that's for sure. Coby White was just moved before we jumped on, hence why I am by myself. Noah's just got to do some blurbing and some writing regarding that trade, so he will be joining me shortly. Welcome, everybody, to Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast brought to you, as always, by FanDuel, part of the Old Man Squad Network, part of the Believe Network. Follow, like, subscribe, download, do everything. As always, let's get straight into it. Let's have a look at the questions, because obviously there's trades to break down here, but I'm just seeing if the questions relate to the trades. They probably do. Let's recap the main ones, though. I feel like there's probably four. So Garland and James Harden basically switch places. We sort of knew that was coming. It had been rumoured for about 24 hours prior to it actually happening. Anthony Davis has gone to Washington for a lot of stuff. Hang on. Let's just have a look what Shams has got to say. Scrolling down. Here we go. So these happened again, they happened not long actually before I woke up. So the Dallas Mavericks are moving Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum to the Wizards for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. So that was the big one. The 76ers have moved Jared McCain, a little bit surprising, to the Thunder. Of course, the Thunder just continuing to add assets for a 2026 Rockets first-round pick and 3 second-round picks. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out till after the All-Star break. That's not a trade thing, but that's interesting. Coby White. Where are you, Coby White? Coby White and Mike Conley. Mike Conley's going to get waived or bought out or whatever. Mike Conley and Coby White to the Charlotte Hornets for Colin Sexton, Usman Jang, and 3 second-round picks. So I'm not sure. Yeah, we thought the Bulls had turned a corner, didn't we, trading Vooch, and then they moved Coby White for basically nothing. So good work. And Jackson Hayes was suspended for pushing a mascot. So if that interests you, that happened as well. All right, let's just make sure nothing else has happened. No, I think that's it. All right, let's jump into some questions. Re-asking for clarity. Okay, this was the trade question regarding dropping. Yep, okay, drop 4 from the back. I think we decided Mini on this one. I think we decided that sitting tight might be the way to go on that one. Do we believe that AJ Mitchell will play soon, given the Shai injury news? Look, there's certainly going to be a really good opportunity for both he and Aaron Wiggins here. We haven't really had an update on AJ Mitchell, as far as I know, unless anything. I haven't had time to check the injuries overnight. No, so I mean, he's out with an abdominal strain, and obviously those can be really tricky. So it wouldn't surprise me if he is also out through the All-Star break here. If he does come back, of course, he will be in a really favourable spot, but he's going to be limited. So I haven't heard anything. Is Colin Murray Balls a 10-team league? A drop in a 10-team league if Sabonis goes to Toronto? No, look, if it happens, he probably is, yeah, but we'll get to that if it happens. Is Jalen Tyson an ad in a 10-team league? Borderline, I think probably. I'll say yes for now, but we'll need to see where Dennis Schroeder and where Keon Ellis fit in the rotation there. But yeah, look, I think he's okay for now, but obviously, yeah, once those guys get in, when James Harden is in, we need to reevaluate what his role is. So maybe you get another game. Okay, if you were to look for bigs to consolidate your roster, and you had Bam, Ayton, Mark Williams, and Jalen Smith, who would you target? consolidate. Look, you could wait for Ayton to have a good game, try and move him. You could potentially move Jalen Smith if there's a lot of hype around him at the moment. Maybe you can get a top 40 player for him or something. Like maybe someone believes that he's going to be that good. I think he'll be good, but I just don't think he'll be I don't know if he's going to be a league winner. I don't know. Maybe he will. Yeah, look, I would say Ayton, if he has a good game, good couple of games, you could look to move him. Bam, I don't know. I don't think anyone's that high on Bam, are they? Justin Champagny, well, this is the move, yeah. So Justin Champagny, is he a must-add now? This is based on Middleton going, which we assumed would happen. The Middleton in Washington was always a weird fit. So I think the stash is potentially one that could pay off. In saying that, he actually hasn't been great. And he has had opportunity over the last couple of weeks. So I still think he is someone that is worth holding for a little bit, at least probably through the All-Star break and then maybe a week beyond, just to see how many minutes he's playing. Anthony Davis, I don't think they will. Surely they don't play him this season now. There isn't really anyone coming back in that's going to take those Middleton minutes. So, yeah, I think the mindset of he is a stash because Middleton is going holds true here, and we continue to hold him if you've got him. Now, we will get to the trades. I'm just waiting for Noah to jump in so we can get both of our opinions. Oh, why did I go big there? I don't want to be big. I was offered Brandon Ingram and Dyson Daniels for Bam. I've not replied because I feel it would hurt my free throw percentage and I'd rather consolidate. Ingram and Dyson. I'm just going to add him. I don't know if he's ready to go. Of course he's ready to go.
Sure.
We'll get to the trade. I'm just doing this question. I've done a few. We've got a lot.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram and Dyson Daniels for Bam Adebayo. So this person has Bam. They want to know whether they should take those guys. Feel it would hurt my free throws. Look, it would on paper, although Dyson doesn't get to the line a lot. So, yes, he is good at free throws, but I would argue that Bam is also not great from the free throw line and is higher volume. And I can speak from experience because I have Dyson on a couple of teams where I'm not punting free throw percentage. And yes, occasionally he'll dent it a little bit, but I would actually be okay doing this trade, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Brandon Ingram's, it's about the same amount of attempts per game as Bam. It's 4% higher, so probably evens out the one free throw that Dyson shoots on average. And so I don't think it'll hurt your free throw percentage terribly. Maybe if you do the math, it drops it slightly, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference.
All right. So I sort of recapped the trades earlier when I jumped on. Let's just do this one here from Fat Cookie Monster. Are we dropping AD? And Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, are they affected by Coby White? 6-team points league.
Whew.
I'm assuming AD isn't going to play this season for the Wizards, given that Trae Young is also likely not going to play a lot. So I'd be okay dropping AD now. I think. What do you think that he comes in and plays at all this season, or is this all geared towards next year?
I think it's the same thing with Trae Young, where we could see him play, but we're not going to see him play much. He's supposed to be reevaluated later, late this month. So maybe they reevaluate him. I mean, it's much easier, I think, for AD than for them to get away with not playing Trae Young, because they can say we reevaluated him. He's still dealing with things. It's much more believable than Trae Young, who's pretty typically been durable in his career. So I think that there's a chance they don't play him. There's also a chance that they play him in limited spurts, a few games of 15 minutes, just to say, hey, we see how this works next to Alex Sarr. That being said, it's probably very difficult to just straight up drop him right now, just because we know how good he can be, even in 20 minutes per game. So I don't know. It would take a lot for me to just straight up drop him. But I think it's definitely something you have to consider after this move.
And the Coby White to Charlotte move, does that affect these guys, Con, Brandon Miller? Personally, I don't think it does a whole lot. He's obviously an upgrade from Colin Sexton, but I don't think he'll start, will he? He'll come off the bench. I can't see them inserting him into that starting lineup.
That'd be my guess. Like, you're not benching Con Knippel or Brandon Miller. Obviously, they're not benching LaMelo, so it'd have to be. I don't really see them benching Brandon Miller for Coby White. So I think Coby White's the sixth man. When they do that thing on back-to-backs where they bring LaMelo Ball off the bench, then he starts. That's great. Colin Sexton is playing or has played 22 minutes per game this season. I assume Coby White gets more than that. So maybe it's a couple minutes away from Con, Brandon Miller, LaMelo, but maybe it's just other players off the bench that lose out on minutes because they feel more confident in Coby White than Colin Sexton.
Yeah. So I think, look, maybe, but not to the point where it affects their overall value a ton, like they're going from a must roster to a drop or anything like that. Maybe Sion James loses a minute or two as well. Like there's those guys. Trey Mann probably won't play as much. Not that he plays much anyway. All right. Let's just get to the trades very quickly. So let's start with the James Harden, Darius Garland trade because it happened yesterday. Thoughts on that one? Like we sort of knew that one was coming. We'd heard rumors, so it wasn't a big surprise when it did come. Winners, I mean, there's no winners lose. For me, most of these trades that have happened, there isn't anyone that we have to run out to add. That's probably a fantasy takeaway for me. There hasn't been any significant. It's real life, a lot of impact, but fantasy, not a lot. So, is that sort of correct? Like you've been blurbing these things. Is there any significant fantasy shifts in fantasy value so far?
Nothing significant. I think the main thing that I'm seeing or thinking is like if there's one winner from the trades so far, at least the one since we talked about this yesterday, Marvin Bagley, I could see. He's joining the center rotation in Dallas that features injury-prone Daniel Gafford, Musa Cisse, and Dwight Powell. Not a very inspiring group, but Bagley's the best offensive big there. So whether it's a Gafford injury or just, hey, this guy's pretty good offensively, like let's get him in the rotation here. I could see Bagley playing more in Dallas than in Washington, so he could have some value. I just probably doesn't pop unless Gafford's hurt, but for the most part, nothing where I'm not going to pound the table and say, everyone drop what you're doing and go add Marvin Bagley.
No, I think Jalen Smith is still the pretty clear winner of all of this. And we talked about him yesterday, and obviously he should be rostered everywhere anyway. All right, so where did I get up to here? Is Ben Mathurin worth holding through the deadline? 10-team league to see if a trade happens. I mean, probably. We're 24 hours from the trade deadline. So, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be dropping anyone and adding anyone just yet. Right. Like we've said, there's no one has jumped off the page to us that you have to prioritize and go and add. So, yeah, I would just sort of stick with who you've got for now and then reevaluate in 24 to 48 hours. So here's a Bagley sort of one. Do Bagley, Champagny, and Will Riley become rosterable in 9 teams? Well, you talked about Bagley going to Dallas, and I think you're right. It would take a Gafford injury, although he seems to injure his ankle every game, so this could certainly happen at some point. Champagny, I talked about him with Middleton gone now. It does open up some minutes for Champagny, but he has been playing minutes anyway on and off and hasn't really popped yet. But I think he's going to get an opportunity here, but we also don't know whether the Wizards are just going to shut certain players down at some point. Will Riley, though, to me is interesting because we have seen him play a little bit more lately. He makes sense as a priority. So I do think Riley is probably worth taking a bit of a flyer on even in 12-team leagues. What do you think about Will Riley?
Yeah, I definitely think there's been some, from what I remember blurbing, some good games recently. Yeah, the last few games have been good.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough there where you're like, hey, it's kind of interesting. Like, we'll see what he does down the stretch. Like, it's probably going to be some inefficient play there. Like, he just turned 20. He's still really young and on a bad team. But there's also incentive there for them to play him big minutes and see what they can get out of him. So I don't know if I would consider a must roster in 12 teams, but definitely like you could consider it.
One for you and a dynasty question for you. In a league where I'm third and punting, field goal percentage, turnovers, and blocks, should I trade Derek Queen for Derek White? And I have asked you this question already. I messaged you last week maybe about this one, and you gave me your answer, which didn't really help me at all. Just because I really don't like it. Helped me in terms of your opinion, but I'm not sure. My hesitation is the age difference. That if I'm sort of being honest here, that Derek Queen is a lot younger than Derek White.
Yeah. So I value Derek White higher in dynasty leagues. Like, he's higher on my rankings.
Yep.
Punting field goal percentage, that's cool for Derek White because he's terrible there, but the blocks from a guard spot I feel like are pretty important to him. So maybe the punt build factors in a little bit. But also, if you're in third place, have a chance to win a championship, I think that's what you got to do in dynasty league. Sometimes you have to push the chips in and try and get a ring. So that to me is more of a factor than the punt build.
Yeah, and I won it last year, so I am looking at back-to-back if I can win it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Stay tuned, Chad. Any Edie news? I will say he is not on the injury report for tonight, but I don't know if that's an error. So Josh popped something. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
Josh actually popped this up on Basketball Monster yesterday saying that he is not on the injury report. We assume it's an error, but they haven't fixed it. The injury report has come out, multiple injury. They come out every 15 minutes, and he is still not on the injury report. So is he coming back tonight? I don't know. It's weird. I don't know whether you've heard anything.
So I'm looking now, and like the initial timeline, or the most recent thing was 6 weeks. So that would be late February, early March. But he's still not on the injury report. Let me see if has anybody, because I would think that a beat reporter would have said something.
Yeah. Live research on the show.
Well, I'm seeing someone commented that the Grizzlies PR tweeted out 18 hours ago. So let me check that, because that is really interesting that they don't have him on their injury report. That's could definitely be an error. Yeah. Okay. So the Grizzlies PR Twitter account has Zach Edey is out.
Okay.
So very interesting that they
just that it hasn't been fixed up yet.
Well, like this list that they're posting from the PR account should be the same list that's given to the league to put on their injury report. So I'm very confused the miscommunication that happened there for it to not have him on there. But whatever.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, stay tuned. I'm assuming he's not back because we haven't heard anything about him coming back. So I will assume he's not back. Another one from Chad, not a trade-related question, but the entire OKC starting five and AJ Mitchell and Caruso are out tonight. Who would we rather stream? Take your pick, really. I'll go. So I would probably go Jalen Williams as my priority. Jalen, what's he? J Will,
yeah.
Yeah. Over Kenrich, over Brandon Carlson.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams, then probably Kenrich and then Carlson.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's what I do. Who has the highest? So similar question. Highest ceiling in 35 plus minutes? J. Will, Wiggins, or Isaiah Joe? I'd probably go Wiggins.
Agreed.
Yeah, Wiggins just over J. Will over Isaiah Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
We might come back to that one. I'm just trying to get through some quick ones. Cater's value. We talked about Cater a little bit yesterday with Vooch coming in. I think he probably ends up being a drop in standard like 10, 12 team leagues, because I do think that Vooch is probably going to start and play 28, 29 minutes. So unless they're going to play them together, which they could, Cater is probably going to be closer to 20 minutes a night. And I think you said yesterday he's been at about 25 minutes a night this season. And sort of a top 80, top 90 player. So doing some simple math, which isn't always the right way to do it, but you're taking off sort of 20% of his production there. He probably goes back to being a borderline top 130 kind of player. So in specific builds, he might still be a hold because he will still give you some rebounds and defensive stats and be efficient. But generally speaking, I think he's going to be more of a stream level player.
Yeah, I agree with that, which stinks because he's been really good this year.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But I do think that we were sort of all of the opinion that he probably wasn't their center of the future necessarily.
Sure.
He was more of a stopgap. He's been really good, and I think he's earned himself a decent contract. But I don't think he's a starter level center on a championship team. If you had to drop one in a 9-cat league, Tobias Harris or Ty Jerome?
Tobias Harris.
Probably Tobias, yeah, I think so. Far
less upside. Yep.
Okay, see. Bagley, yes, Bagley might be an ad, but not running to add him. Yeah, there's lots of OKC questions actually in here. OKC had a lot of guys questionable yesterday as well. So yes, we're seeing all these injuries tonight. Other than the Shea injury, which they've already come out and said he's going to be out through the All-Star game. The rest of them, I don't know. Yes, I know Chet is out with back spasms, but he was questionable yesterday as well with back spasms, and he played. So I feel like this is more of an excuse. There's no indication this is going to be multiple games for him or anything. So I'm not too concerned, other than Shea, of course.
Agreed.
It does mean that he won't play in the All-Star game though, so they're going to call someone else in, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it would have to be someone that would be part of the world team.
The world team, yeah.
So I don't know who would be.
Josh Giddey's ready to go.
Well, of course he is. So is Dyson Daniels.
So is Dyson, yeah.
Sadly, Dante Exum is not ready to go.
No. Oh man, if Dyson got picked, I'd fall. I do a pod just dedicated to Dyson.
Does it have to be someone from the West? Probably.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how that all works now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Okay, are Trey Jones and Dylan Cardwell ads in a 10-team league? I'll say no at this point. Well, Cardwell, I'll go no because Sabonis is still there. So unless Sabonis moves, I'll go no in a 10-team league. Trey Jones... Yeah, maybe with Coby out. I mean, Sexton's going to come in surely and probably play, but he won't start, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think they start him? Do you think the Bulls would? It's the Bulls.
I think they have more moves to make because they do still have too many guards. I think 2
They have
minutes
a
is a fair
lot,
word.
yeah.
So I think there has to be at least one more move because it's Giddey, it's Trey Jones, it's Ayo Dosunmu, it's now Colin Sexton. Is there one more that like they acquired yesterday, or was that it? They got Conley and then shipped him out. I feel like there's one more.
Ivy.
Ivy, that's who it is.
Oh, Ivy, yeah. Sorry,
yeah. That's
So
what I
yeah,
was
Ivy.
saying.
Yeah, so there probably are still moves to come.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as we said, they might run a 5-point guard lineup. What's the power structure at the Hornets with Coby White? We talked about that. I think Coby comes off the bench as the sixth man. So I think he just slots into the Colin Sexton role, but add about 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. Is Jared McCain a must-add with Shea and AJ injured? They sent 4 picks for him.
He could have some short-term streaming.
Yeah.
I think it's just they didn't give up. I think that's the thing is they didn't give up a ton. Like they gave out a late first-round pick this year and 3 seconds. So like it's an upside swing. So I would assume like there's a path for him to get minutes as soon as he gets there with AJ Mitchell and SGA out. Like that's fair, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen. Like be like a long-term play. But he'll get an opportunity, I would assume, over the next handful of games before the All-Star break. Don't know if that means he's going to start. Like it could be 15 to 20 minutes and limited production. So I don't think he would be considered a must-add.
Yeah. Cam Spencer and Cater droppable in category leagues. 12-team leagues, I said I think Cater will be, unless, again, specific situations maybe you hold. And Cam Spencer, I think he probably is as well, especially with Scottie Pippen close to returning.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
D'Angelo Russell in Washington for silly season. They're not going to hold him, are they? Surely they'll just move him on or waive him or buy him out or something.
I think a buyout is pretty realistic.
Yeah. Would we trade Porzingis for Claxton?
You're definitely losing like production, but you're gaining probably a decent amount of availability there.
Yeah.
So I don't hate that. I think I could do that.
I think I'd be okay. Yeah. Porzingis was he was available yesterday and then he didn't play and now he's doubtful. Like there's just so much uncertainty. So yeah, I think I'd be okay. Okay. My worst players are Shaden Sharp and Keyshawn George. I desperately need a point guard eligible player. Kevin Porter Jr. and Drew Holiday available. Who should I pick up, drop? And here's the full squad. Quickly, OG, Hart, Brandon Miller, Eason, Buzelis, Keyshawn George, Sharp, Jokic, Wemby, Duran, Jalen Smith, and Keontae George on IR. That's tough because I don't think... would I have Kevin Porter Jr. over any of those guys? Maybe. I'm surprised Keyshawn... Does Keyshawn not have point guard eligibility on? He does on Fantrax. He mustn't have it on Yahoo. I can probably check that, actually. I have him in Yahoo. I don't even pay attention to his eligibility, but I'm sure I've got him.
Shooting guard, small forward, power forward.
Okay, so not point guard. I don't know. Would you drop any of those players for Drew Holiday or Kevin Porter Jr.?
I think to get the point guard help, like you might have to. I think, but it's tough because I feel like those options aren't quite as good. Gosh, I don't know that I feel comfortable doing that. I might want to try and look at making a trade for a different point guard. Probably a little bit more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, gun to my head, I'd probably go Keyshawn only because he plays for Washington and we're seeing them start to sort of mess around with the rotation a bit. So possibly him, but yeah, I think if you could look to trade, that might be the way to go. Trade Eason and Dayron Sharp for Anthony Simons, 14-team points league. No.
Simons is in Chicago too.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Yeah, they have to be making it. Sorry, like when we said the list earlier, I just totally forgot about Simons.
Oh, I didn't say it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't because unless we got some clarity, unless Anthony Simons was landing in a favourable spot where he's going to play 30 minutes, then I'd hold on to Eason and Dayron Sharp there.
Right. Yeah.
Trade. What else have we got here? So Chad thinks Mobley is the biggest winner. Harden unlocks more on the offensive end. I guess, yeah, that's one way to look at it, but I don't think it. I think, look, Mobley will be happy to have someone like a Harden there. We've seen, like we saw last year, the Zubats Harden pick and roll worked really well. So we're going to get some new looks, but I wouldn't say he's a winner in terms of his fantasy value goes up.
You could see like how Evan Mobley and Jared Allen could benefit from having like a pick and roll partner or pick and roll operator like James Harden out there. I don't know, like maybe it helps a little bit for fantasy, but like Donovan Mitchell's still gonna have the ball in his hands a ton, and he's obviously great. But I don't like Darius Garland's also a really good passer. I don't know. Maybe it does help a little bit. I don't know if either is a massive winner, but I could call them slight winners.
So I actually thought about this as well. Do you think there's a chance Miles Bridges is benched and they play Brandon Miller at the 4? I think if someone was going to get benched to allow Coby White to start, Bridges would be the one for me. But I just think they're winning games. They're playing really well. I know Bridges isn't playing well, but I think Coby White will be the sixth man.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if they mess with the starting lineup, like you said, as they are winning. And it also would be kind of a small lineup. They already have a small center who's Mr. Diabate is great, but I don't think they need to be getting any smaller in that lineup.
Okay. Sorry, I was just reading it. It's
a
long one. Okay, so I have Sarr, Anthony Davis, Con, Luka, Keontae, KD, Amen, Triple J, Jalen Smith, Quickly, Zion, Chet, Denny, Kawhi, Brandon Miller. So it's a good team, but this is I think you said earlier, this is a 16 point league. So you'd want to have a good roster in a 16 league. Keep 15, drop 2. So you have to drop 2 of those players in a 6-team. So in a 6-team league, you're probably looking at, I don't know how deep your rosters are, but you're probably looking at top 50 players as sort of must roster.
I think also with the playoffs being like, I think 2 weeks after most of, like, I guess like it would be the standard for most leagues. We could look at tanking teams as a big factor here. So like probably Jaren Jackson, just as like, because like none of these players are droppable players, but 6-team league, obviously things change. I could see Jaren Jackson as a droppable player. Probably Jalen Smith. Like I think he's a must roster player at this point for 12-team leagues, but for a 16, I don't know. I think those two for sure. And then if there is a different, I'm not really seeing another shutdown guy, like maybe Keontae George is, but maybe he's not. I'd probably say Quickly is the other option.
Yeah. Yeah, Quickly's been pretty hit or miss the last week or so. I think I'd probably agree. I think Jalen Smith definitely in a 6-team league, and Jaren Jackson, as you said, there's a risk that he'll miss, not necessarily be shut down, but certainly miss games. Where are we up to? Who would we take a chance on out of GG Jackson, McCain, or Marvin Bagley?
I think with that group, I'd probably go Marvin Bagley.
I'd probably
Jerry
go
McCain.
GG Jackson, so
yeah, I don't hate that either.
Yeah. I think just because of the role I think that's in front of him, Matt, as we said earlier, Bagley, I think he's going to be reliant on Gafford not playing or at least being limited. I think GG Jackson is just going to play because of the way Memphis is structured. Where's the... Yeah, I'd go Jackson personally, but...
Yeah, not McCain.
I got offered Booker, Rollins, and Andrew Wiggins for Jalen Johnson and Shaden Sharp. I think it's fair. Who would I rather have? I'd be okay with
some in rebounds,
and would like more threes and steals.
I think I'd rather hold Jalen Johnson, best player in the deal.
He is, yeah. Yeah, I probably would. But like I said, I do think it's a fair trade. Like if you're looking for some depth, you're going to get 3 for 2. But Jalen Johnson, yeah, I think he's certainly the best player. No, we've talked about Coby White affecting players. Maybe he takes a minute off Brandon Miller, something like that, but they're not going to limit anything. Debating on dropping Nick Claxton for Santi Aldama, 10-team 8-cat league.
Ooh, I could definitely consider that. Especially with Jaren Jackson Jr. gone. I think I would do that.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd be okay. Claxton has been trending the wrong way. Dayron Sharp was really good yesterday, so I'm not saying Claxton is going to be sort of limited or they're going to bench him or anything, but his production just hasn't been great, so I'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
All right, now you need to get out of here. So I will excuse you.
Thank you, Kingy.
Talk to you later. I'll keep going for about 15 minutes. So
perfect.
All right. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you for having me on. See you guys.
I might see you tomorrow on the trade deadline show anyway.
Exactly. Yep. So I will see you then.
All right. Thanks, mate.
See ya.
All right. Let us keep going. Not that big. All right. I have to get out. I have to go to work today. So I will bang through a few of these. Just traded Zubats for Jarrett Allen in a 12-team points league. Is this crazy? Not crazy. No, I think it's okay. Jarrett Allen, probably this is the high point. You're probably sort of almost selling high or buying high in a way. But no, I think that's okay. I think that's. I don't think you'll look back and regret it necessarily. Yeah, so that one's seen that one. I think we did this one, didn't we? GG Jackson would be the guy for me. Is Coby White a drop in an 8-team points league? Oh man. I'll say maybe. I wouldn't just drop him yet. Let's see how many minutes he plays and what his role looks like in Charlotte. Claxton for Coby White in a 10-team points league. Yeah, I think I'd be okay doing that. Claxton in a points league doesn't have as much value as category league. And I think Coby White will still play enough to be sort of a top 80, maybe 90 player. And in a 10-team league, that makes him rosterable. So I think that'd be okay. Yep, done that one. Yeah, look, I have no idea what the Bulls are going to do. So the question is, if they stand pat, who's the best ad at shooting guard? Jaden Hardy, Anthony Simons, Colin Sexton, Io DeSumo. If they keep all of these guards around, I'll say none, because there's just too many mouths to feed. So I don't think the Bulls are done. Surely, I mean, let me just pull up their depth chart here. So at the moment, if we just look at their guard depth, so not necessarily shooting guard, but both guard positions, they have Josh Giddey, Anthony Simons, Io DeSumo, Jaden Ivey, Trey Jones, and Colin Sexton coming in. Jaden Hardy. Yeah, there's too many. There's like 8 guards there. So they're going to move someone. I think, I feel like, I don't know who it'll be actually. Yeah, it sort of comes down to their timeline. I don't think they'd move to Sunmu. So he's the safest, but again, it's the Bulls. So I'd probably go none at this point. Should I move off any of these guys? Points League 10 team. Gobert, Fox, Nemhard. Is PJ Washington droppable? 10-team points league. Probably continue to hold Fox. I know he's been a bit disappointing. Nemhard for now is rosterable, but we could reach a point where he is droppable. PJ Washington would probably be the guy for me, especially if they do want to give someone like a Marvin Bagley some opportunity there. He would probably be the one. If Monk doesn't get traded, is he a drop? Well, it depends if anyone else gets traded. Like if they move other people so that Monk can play more, then probably not. But if Sacramento looks in 3 days the way they look now, then yes, he probably is. And it is Sacramento. Thoughts on Tari Eason rest of season? Any projections? I think he's probably top 60-ish, top 70. So if you want to look to move him, that's probably what I'd be targeting. Top 50 would be ideal. I wouldn't go any lower than about a top 70. We did talk about Champagny briefly. So I do think the stash still holds. I think if you picked him up as a stash, I would continue to do that. Middleton is gone. They haven't really brought anyone back, but they're not necessarily done. So I would just continue to hold him for the next 24 to 48 hours and see what happens with their rotation. Should I hold Keegan Murray? Yeah, I would for now. Yep. Yeah, pause. Someone talked about him earlier. A trade that was offered. I can't think who it was. Claxton. It might have been Claxton for Porzingis. Yeah, as much as Porzingis, obviously the per game upside is incredible, but yes, he was announced or upgraded yesterday to available, and then the illness, and this is the illness he's been dealing with, the POTS one. And I said months ago when he was ruled out with this that I was pretty worried because this is not something that necessarily goes away. It's just something that has to be managed. So for the remainder of his career, he's likely to miss time. Could be a game, could be a week, could be a month from my understanding of what the illness is, it isn't one. And it's basically, I think it's something like the more you exercise, you get dizzy and you feel nauseous, that sort of thing. So obviously playing in NBA, you are running around, you are jumping, you are doing things. So it doesn't mesh well for his long-term future here. A rugby league question. Who have I got for Dally M and grand finalists? Ooh. I'm always going to say Tigers. Well, no, I'm not, because I know they're not. But I would love it for it to be a Tigers player. Grand finalists, I think it might be the Roosters and sorry for people that don't watch rugby league. I'll go Roosters and Storm, maybe. Dally M. I think a dark horse, maybe Tedesco or maybe Sam Walker. Have we got another trade? Okay, interesting. So Chris Paul has just been traded to the Raptors, Agbaji and a second rounder to the Nets. Chris Paul to the Raptors. Look, he might play. I don't think he's coming in and actually playing a meaningful role. Where's Toronto? I'm just looking at their depth chart here. He definitely won't start. They're not moving Emmanuel quickly out of that starting spot. But he could, I guess, theoretically, he could come in and impact guys like Jamal Shed, who at the moment is their backup. But no real fantasy relevance there, I don't think. It just gives them a nice sort of veteran guy. So I don't think that's anything significant. What's my take on Taylor Hendricks? Look, I'm hoping that this move at least gives him an opportunity or another opportunity to play. And I think it will. I think with the Memphis rotation, the way it is now, and the fact that they're tearing this down means that they should want to get a look at guys like Taylor Hendricks, Walter Clayton, over players like, even Santi Aldama to some degree. But yeah, look, I think this is a good move for Taylor Hendricks. It's very speculative. If you wanted to go and pick him up, you could if you've got unlimited moves. But he had an opportunity coming into the year and he didn't really do anything with it. So change of scenery, though, you never know. Who can I get for Giannis in a 12-team points league? He's a tough player to move at the moment, given all the injuries and everything, and the uncertainty. I'd still be looking for a first rounder, but I get that if you're worried that he's going to miss weeks here, or I think if he's traded, it doesn't matter if he's traded, his value doesn't change. So I wouldn't be worried about that. So I think I'd still, given that we're only a week away from the All-Star break, which means that we have a week off, hypothetically, Giannis could be back after the All-Star break. No, we don't know where he'll be, but he could be back. So, yeah, I'd probably still be looking to move him for a first rounder. That's all. Yeah, that's true as well. The Raptors may buy Chris Paul out. It'll be one of two situations here. He'll come in and be a mentor, kind of veteran guy to help some of their young players, or they will buy him out. Oh, okay. So Chad has said they're not requiring him to report. Okay, so it does look like they're going to help him find a landing spot. Okay, are any of these players droppable for Jalen Smith? LaMelo, Rollins, Pritchard, Quickly, Black, Jalen Brown, OG, Alexander Walker, Powell, Denny, Tyson, Oubre, Wemby, Jabari Smith. I would drop Oubre for Jalen Smith, I think. Maybe Tyson. Yeah, they'd probably be the two for me that I'd consider. Yeah, I think so. Pick up. Do I think anyone will be more valuable than Eason to pick up? Thinking of dropping AD as we're running out of IR slots. Yeah, I think I'd be okay dropping AD to pick up Eason. Again, going back to the start of the show, I'm not sure how much Anthony Davis plays here. If we think back to when he initially suffered this injury, there was talk of surgery. He sort of debunked that, but that's not to say that surgery is not still on the table. And given that the Wizards, their eyes are on next year, not this year, there is certainly a chance that they just go, hey, let's get the surgery, let's get you healthy. And so he's good to go for the preseason. So keeping that in mind, I'd be okay, I think, getting Eason there. I think I did this one at the start. This was the question from yesterday. I think it was for a must-roster trade player, would I drop 4 players? Melton, Dyson, Asar, OG. Yeah, I think if we looked at your question yesterday, I think our suggestion was just to stand pat with the roster that you have from memory. Is Eason's stats once fully ramped up? Will he play back? I think he will play back-to-backs. And I think they may have even said that. I think they came out at one point and said that he's getting closer to playing back-to-backs. What do I think his stat set looks like? We sort of know who he is. He's probably, 13 to 14 points, decent rebounder, 6.5 rebounds, a couple of assists, 1.5 steals, maybe 0.8 blocks, 0.9 blocks, 2 to 2.5 threes. So he sort of chips in across the board, and that's his value. He does a lot of stuff. Chris Paul, yeah, I think we've determined that he won't stick around. So, no, he'll land somewhere, but it won't be Toronto, from what we've heard. All right, I need to get out of here. Is Cater an auto drop? He's close. I would hold him and just see how many minutes he plays when Vooch plays. But yeah, I think in a 12-team league, he's probably going to be borderline. Is PJ Washington a must roster with AD out? His free throws horrendous. It is. He probably is a must roster, but again, certain builds. So if you're punting free throws, absolutely he is. If you need free throws, then you could look to move him for a top kind of 80, 90 player. What else have we got? So Eason is like another Kamara. Yeah, I'd rather Eason over Kamara if we wanted to compare the two. So yeah, I do think he is similar. Yeah, probably similar to what we thought Kamara would be this season. But a better, I'd argue he's probably a better 3-point shooter. He's certainly a more efficient 3-point shooter and has more potential to get blocks. Yeah, so yes, I would rather hold Eason over Kamara. The Bulls, so that was, I think, to do with the Bulls and a center. Who would they look for? Sabonis. Yeah, maybe. I think Sabonis would go anywhere at this point. Max Christie and Ad, he was sort of borderline anyway. You stream him in for threes and points, but he'd been playing quite well. So yeah, I'd be okay just holding him. I still don't think I'd call him a must add, but in specific situations that would be okay. All right, last one. What do we drop? Stewart. That's probably Isaiah Stewart for Ace Bailey. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Stewart is who Stewart is. He's a 22-minute-a-night guy. He gets you 1.5 blocks. Ace Bailey has more upside at this point. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I have to go to work. Trade deadline show tomorrow starting at 1 a.m. my time, which is 9 a.m. Eastern, I think. So maybe it's going something from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow. I think 3 p.m. is trade deadline. So we're looking at 23 hours. Dan will be kicking off. I'll be joining him at some point once I'm awake and try to make a coffee without waking the rest of the family up. Noah will be on. Some special guests I think Dan has lined up as well. I'm not sure of the exact lineup of people that he's got coming on, but hopefully there'll be some more trades between now and then. And we haven't had all the action leading into the trade deadline 24 hours before the trade deadline. Usually we get some moves. Still waiting to see what Sacramento does. The Bulls have got players to move. So hopefully we still get some more moves. But we'll find out tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate all of the questions as always. And follow at Adam King 91 at Old Man Squad. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, I've asked and I'll ask again, go and download the audio versions. That really helps with all of the back end stuff. And I'll be back on tomorrow. I am Adam King. This has been Stuff It, a Fantasy Basketball Podcast. We are done.